Hey, this is Ty from Outdoor Skills for Kids, and I'm going to show you how to use the shadow stick method to find north in a survival situation. And for that, we're going to need a couple of sticks. We're going to need a large stick. This is going to be our shadow stick. And we're going to need two other pointer sticks. So the way we do this is we're going to need the sun out because that's going to create and cast a shadow. So first step is really simple, is where we're going to dig the stick into the ground. Get a nice position there. We'll dig that into the ground. And that stick is going to cast a shadow onto the ground. And where that shadow, where the tip of that shadow is, that is where you're going to mark your first marker. So the sun is going to cast a shadow across the stick, and the very tip is what we're going to mark. What I like to do is I like to put my hand on where the stick marks. And then between my fingers, I pass the stick exactly on the point where that marks. So that over there is where I'm going to position the stick in the ground, peg it in like that, and this point over here will be my westerly marker. As the sun moves, the shadow will actually move from west to east, and that's the direction of shadow movement. Where that shadow ends will actually be my easterly marker. So we're going to leave this and let it sit for a while, a couple of minutes, maybe half an hour, and we'll see where that point ends, and that will be our easterly point where I'll put in our next peg. Okay, so this is what the system looks like from above. We've got our stick in the ground casting a shadow across. Then we've got our first marker stick. So if I just remove that marker stick for a second, you'll see that shadow ends exactly on that spot. What I like to do is I like to mark the shadow between my fingers, see where it ends, and that is exactly where I like to put the marker stick. That marker stick will mark our westerly point, and as that shadow moves from west to east, our second stick will go into the ground, and that will mark our easterly point. 30 minutes has passed and our shadow has moved. Initially the shadow was at the end of this particular stick over there, but now the shadow has shifted to this point over here. So if I just put my finger over there, that's the exact spot of where I want to place my next stick. That stick will be east. So if that is my easterly marker, the first stick was my westerly marker, that means I've got an east-west line. And therefore, that portion over there would be south, and this portion will be north. So I've got my north-south line and east-west line. So that's how you can use the shadow stick method to give you your compass bearing and orientation when you're out in the wilderness and you don't have a compass.